Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams, and today I want to talk to you about the lessons that we come into this world and we end up learning through our life experience. So I'm going to start off by saying a very bold statement that is also very true, because essentially I want you to just listen to the statement, but also to sit with it, to really like figure out what does that mean to you. Do a little bit of like self reflection on it. And the statement is that if you have not learned the lesson from the experience, all you've experienced is suffering. So, what makes the suffering an actual lesson? Now, obviously, in very generalized terms, a very simple answer would be that you learn the lesson, then it becomes a lesson, right? Uh, but I want to go a little bit deeper into that because there is a little bit more that's going on behind the scenes that you may not be aware of. So, whether or not we learn a lesson is 100% based on our level of consciousness around the experience. So, this is why sometimes you might find that you have to go through the same experience like 30 times before you finally get it. Because for us to fully learn a lesson, we have to learn the lesson in its entirety. So, not only do we need to be on the receiving end of that lesson, we also need to be on the giving end of that lesson. And it may be giving first, receiving second. But then there's also these like the little parts. So, if you imagine your lesson kind of like a movie, each clip is a lesson. And if you have an experience, let's say it's a relationship experience, and you have this experience that makes you realize that you are attracting people into your life that you really don't want to have in your life, that changes, that awareness has now changed your consciousness. So once you change your consciousness enough to see the entire movie, not just that individual clip, essentially that's when the lesson becomes learned. So I get asked so many times, why do I have to go through this? Like, why am I back here again? Why am I learning the same lesson? Did I not learn it before? A lot of people, unfortunately, we get stuck in this loop of shaming ourselves and blaming ourselves and really putting ourselves down, thinking that we're too stupid to get the lesson the first time, or that there was something inherently wrong with us, of like, why did I have to go through it again? And it might only be to experience that last final clip before your consciousness, self-awareness, or the awareness, not self-awareness, sorry, the awareness of the experience raises your consciousness enough to say, hey, you know what, I'm not doing this again. I now have the whole picture. I have that whole movie, so to speak. I don't need to come back and watch the same movie again. It's like I've watched the movie now 30 times. I don't need to watch it a 31st time. It's the movie's not going to change. So it's that consciousness level and that level of self-awareness that allows us to learn the lesson, to stop putting ourselves into this suffering, and to be able to start to be able to choose differently. So as much as it sucks, I'll be honest, it sucks to have to go through these things. This is how we learn, and this is what our evolution is based off of, is being able to recognize, or to raise our consciousness to recognize the experiences that we are in are helping us to learn and to grow. And we only learn and grow when we have an emotional attachment to something. Well, that emotional attachment doesn't come from the good feeling, emotions. Our emotional attachment comes from the times that we were hurt, the times that we were upset, the times that we were frustrated, the times that we were let down, the times that we thought somebody was a better person than what they were. It's all telling us something about ourselves, and raising our consciousness to a point where we are able to come back to self and stop putting ourselves in those situations. It's really coming back and protecting yourself from being in those kind of experiences. So the trick though is not to get cold to it. The trick is not to go too far the other way and be like, oh, well, I don't need anybody. I don't need relationships. I don't want this. I don't want to put myself in this situation ever again, because avoidance is not evolving. It's just deflecting the truth of what it is that you are meant to learn. And once you go through the learning process and you start to realize what that process looks like, it starts to honestly, for a while, I'll be 100% honest, it becomes a lot more frustrating once you know what's actually going on and why it's happening. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I seen why I had to go through that. I get why that had to work out the way that it did. Because the truth of it is everything that you're letting go of is letting go of a layer of you that you had to be in order to survive. And it's allowing every layer that you lose is allowing you to step more and more into the authentic version of who you are. And that is the point. That is the entire point of our mission, our purpose of what we're on this life for, or in this life for, is to be able to come back to the authentic self. That's it. That's everybody's mission. That is the truth, and the authentic expression of who we are is what we're here to live as. Not who we were raised to be, not who we became in order to survive, but the true and authentic version of us. And the true and authentic version of us does not carry the traumas. It doesn't carry all of the weight of other people's need to feel comfortable based on who we are or who they think that we should be. That's all just noise. It's all outside of us. And each individual person, their journey is about coming back to self. This is what God consciousness is. This is what they call 5D. This is all the stuff that essentially is going to help you to come back to that soul expression of who you are. Is stripping away all of the pieces that you aren't, that you just had to be in order to survive. Because those pieces of you, even though they feel like part of your personality, they absolutely 100% are not. They are a survival tactic, and that is it. They have nothing to do with who you truly are. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you back here next time.